Hello everybody, and welcome to another tutorial in camera and lens repair. And this time I will actually show you how I work with the Konica Hexanon AR 57mm 1.2, because, well, it's a really nice lens. It's rendered the picture amazing, and yeah, in every aspect I think it's a wonderful lens to use. But it has a problem. I mean, it has have some few problems which I would like to show you and get you through. In those there will be three videos about this lens. As long as I have cleaned the glasses from fungus long time ago in another video, I will also show you how you can fix in this lens. This focus is quite stiff, so I think it can be better. And the other thing is the aperture ring, which is in a way really stiff. It has it has a double click. I mean, with every aperture and a half, all of them. But it's really stiff to move, and it needs some lube in a way. And I would like to we go through that. Then we'll go into the whole aperture assembly. I will take it apart and I'll show you how it works and what issue you can, pitfall you can go into. This is not an hard lens to work on, but there are some things you have to be aware of in here. First thing first, it is essential to set marks in this lens. There is no service manual as long as I know, but yeah, I have taken some notes which you can see here, a lot of them. I will go through them. So let's dig into it. I begin with taking off the name ring itself, and for that we can use a 60.2mm. It's the gray rubber thingy. It's not that sticky as I would like to, but it works pretty good. Or you could use of course the rubber cones. It will be number 6 in this case. You can see here. It also works pretty good. So maybe I should just go for that. I mean, we could use one or the other. I'll just show, well, I have tightened since I've been into the lens, but we can see how good it will be. Okay. Off for that. So nothing special. You can just put the cap on, so it's pretty good to work on. Next thing is, there are 3 screws here on the front. It's hold the front ring. There's nothing special about that. And just set it to 0.45. And when in this case, I always set marks where it is essential. So set a mark down here. Maybe there is some alignment of the screw, but better to set a mark. I use a JIS 2mm for the whole lens. There are also flathead screws in there. Out with that, they are small, but it looks like it's good steel. So there, this one here, and if you forgot to set a mark, you can just use some tool to set a mark here. Well, nothing special. Is it actually, can one set it in the wrong direction? Well, you can set it whatever you want, no problem. Next thing is, and that's the more important thing, well, it's not really necessary, but you could set a mark here. Scratch down here. And I found out one thing. If we set it to near end, this ring here has to come loose because it's much more easy to come into the 3 screws here and set a mark. So I will use the 70.2 millimeter and get that ring off. Not the focusing ring, but you will see. Yeah, it should come loose. Well, maybe I put it too hard in. Could be I use the 74.6. See how it maybe it's better. Yeah, come loose. And then I can unscrew the front ring here. So, nothing special about that. And then we dig deeper into it and set it to infinity. See there? And then set marks down here. You probably can see them down here because it is quite important in my opinion. So we set a mark in line with the first mark, down here the next mark on the actual inside of the focusing ring, because then we know how the actual aperture ring, focusing ring should sit when it is correct. Now you probably wonder, okay, what does this rubbering or so? Well, there was no rubbering when I get this lens, so I took one from a coffee cup, thermal cup, and it works pretty good. It has a good diameter. Now then we'll take off the front lens group. There's no need for set any mark because this front lens group can only sit in one way. And I will use the number 6 for this one because it fits over really good over here, and it's quite sticky, and it can sit pretty tight. Well, not so much because I've been into it. Because the front lens, it's quite exposed to the front. So when I work with the rest of the focusing assembly and take out the aperture and so on, it will not be, take off the back also. Now, then we look into here. I'll take off the focusing ring because itself here, and it's just 3 flathead screws. So you see, those are flathead screws. There's a funny mix of also the 4 screws that hold the front helicoid into the lens, the aperture assembly is also with the flathead screws. I'll just undo those, and it was 2.5 millimeter flathead screwdriver, nothing special, so we can just take those out. And the next one, It's not so hard to get into the lens as long as one knows how to do it. So I spent some time with this interesting lens, and it is a little more different than you would think of. So now last screw, then take off, and there's one thing. You see this notch down here, this gap here, it's because the focusing ring itself has a pin. It's actually a stop pin that goes to one end to the other when you turn the focusing ring. Now we need to press down a little here, and at the same time move the focusing ring just a little. I mean, I have my mark, remember that. And then we can turn it a little. Then I cannot get the focusing ring out. I have to turn it a little. So you see the little pin here, this little pin here that goes through the gap here. It has to go there because it will, it will go to the very end, as we can see now. I will show it later. The pin here acts as a stop that goes up to here, but the infinity mark here is a little off if you look at the pin here. So the pin is a little more, it's not in the middle. Well, so that's why it is so important. So now I put it back to infinity here, so it is in line, and I also set a mark here. Now I know where things should sit, so all three marks here are in line with the stop here and also the index mark. So now that we know that, we can continue. I will not take this off yet. I will go to the very back and take off the mount. And to do that, there are, if we look at it, there are 4 screws here holding the mount. Underneath there are the aperture click, which one sits here, the other sits over here. And there are 2 steel balls, 2 springs, and 2 other pins. So I will begin with this one. And the sides here. The aperture have to be fully open, as you see here at aperture 1.2. Then we take the sides here. Haha, the side of a circle. So just take it off, and then we take, now we have to press down here, especially on this side, press down, because the springs are quite hard to you can see it's maybe you can see it here, it's a bit wobbly because there is a spring and steel ball pin underneath here and over here. So now we can lift this up. Should be quite easy. Look at the pin here. It has to be there because it's much more easy to get it under here. And there was one thing I forgot to mention. One have to set it to near end at least a little. So, because then it's easier to get the mount out. So then we can lift this out and do this. So now you can see. But there is one thing, or two, actually, we need to do, because, where's my tweezer? This goes up to here, and this one goes to here. You see, the mount has to sit correct, but in this case, it could be different in your lens, but as long as it is so in my lens, there are two thin spacers. They are different color. This is blue, and the other one is something like shiny blackish or so, and it has to sit there. So now I set a small mark. As long as it's the blue one has to be here, I actually, hopefully you can see it. I actually write here BL for blue, and the other side is B for black. I mean, it looks shiny aluminium, but I think okay, I will call it a name. It could be red, blue, green, I don't know, but it has to sit correct when you put the mount on again. There was no spacers over here or here, so we'll just have this out. So now we have that clear. So now there is a pin here. See this one? It's not the aperture click itself, because the steel ball is down there. So I will take out the spring and the steel ball. I will use my magnetized 2mm GIS to pick up the steel ball, as you can see here. And by the way, how big is the steel ball? Let's see that. Just so we know that, in case you missed one steel ball. Oh gosh. Go on now. Let's see here if we can get it into place. It's actually 1.99mm, or it could be 2mm. I think it's all fine. It's all fine. It is 2mm, the steel ball, and both of the steel balls are the same. So no matter how you mix them, the pin here, the steel ball, it is the same. And then just pick up the other one. It is the same. And now I can actually take off the aperture ring, but there is a little bracket down here which we need to take out, because you cannot take out the aperture ring if this is sitting in there. And by the way, it has to sit on something like Aperture AE. Then you have full access to this one. So I use my where did it go? My 2.5 millimeter to get those two screws out. And the screws are quite flat, so they and they are made of brass. So, and they are non-magnetic, of course. So I'll just pick this out. So there, very short. Everything, all screws in this lens is very short. And then we can take the other one. By the way, it's not important, but I actually set a mark down here. Set mark down here. So you can see there. Now, the thing is, it can only sit in one position, so there isn't any problem with that. I can just unscrew this and then get the second screw out. Hopefully, yeah, you see. And then I can take the bracket out. So there. Now you see it. It has to sit correct, so it's actually good to set a mark anyway, so you know where it should sit. Now, then I can take off the aperture ring. You see, there is a hook here. So when one press the button in here, so if you have the aperture over at the, no, it's not possible. You can just take it off by pressing in the little button here. It's out. Nothing special about that. And then we look more into the back here with all the notches for the aperture. And I will just set the lens to infinity again. It's really stiff. So now we are here. And oh, I just forgot one thing. Has to set it back again there. You can see you cannot go any further than here. If you do, well, yeah, we have to measure something actually. See this pin here, sit with two screws. It's JIS. So we can just undo those. Out with those. And of course this one here. Because then it will be much easier to access the back lens group. So, and there. Now, going back to infinity, set it there, and then I can unscrew the back lens group with the rubber cone number 4, and it fits really snugly over, and then have a good grip here on, not here but here, and then so out it comes, and here we have. So put it aside. Now, then we get into the more interesting. There's one thing I have to mention. It is do not even think of unscrew this ring here, the shiny one. It will say those pins here, I mean those notches here, do not unscrew this the shiny ring, because if we look a little closer, there are some steel balls in here. Probably you can see them, maybe not. You can see one here, and there are a few of them around here. So if we look here, there's one steel ball there, to make it smooth and very easy to turn for the camera itself. Now, then we go to the front here. Actually, we have to measure between the front here and the back here. So, we'll do that. At infinity, it will say those marks you set in the beginning. There has to be something like 40 or so. And you see, it's from not to this ring here, but it has to be on here, between the front and the back. And it actually, what I actually wrote down before when I was in the lens earlier, from the front to the back at infinity, there is 40.02 or so. Now, so we know that. Next thing is set a mark down here. Yeah, I know it's difficult to see, but see, there's marks there. And there is also a mark in here. This ring here, the inner, is actually the aperture assembly front. So now I can take my screwdriver here and unscrew those 4 screws. They are quite long, and it's I think it's something like glue or so. It sits with, you can see. And then the opposite. So take that out here. Not possible. Just do so, like this. Then the other 2. There we are. And the last one. Now, if you haven't set any mark yet, do it now. See the mark here, and also mark here on the edge, top of the edge here. It is important. Then you just have to put things in correct. You see, we get that out, and then I have to unscrew the front ring here to get deeper into the the middle helicoid. So in order to get into the aperture assembly, we need to take off the front helicoid and the middle helicoid. Then we can pull out the inner aperture here, which I will show you. It's not that hard. It's just the way you have to get into it. There is no other way. So, then we should be able to take, not fully unscrewed. So, out with that. You maybe think, okay, I can just take this ring off. No. You have to unscrew it. You see, and then hold on to the brass ring. Then I can unscrew this. This is the front helicoid, which is actually screwed into the aperture assembly. And since I also take notes of that, when the front helicoid, this one, has to come off, it has to turn a bit over one turn till off at around 2:30 o'clock. It will say, I will turn this is my starting point here, and I will turn it one full turn, and we can just see here, just turn it, and a bit more. So that was one full revolution. And then over here I set a mark. Probably you can see it, and it will come off. I'll just turn it so it will be there. Poof, comes off. So now you have to set a mark here. Well, actually I wrote this wrong. It should have been to and remember, it could be different in your lens, right? So this comes off at the over here. We have like 12 o'clock here, and this is over here around 15 or so. So now we have this out. It is really the grease is really old. It doesn't really look that good. So now it's off. Then next, the middle helicoid here has to come off after, and we have to measure. Measure from the front here to the back, and let's see how much it is. It should be something like 37.96, but it depends on how much tenths of a millimeter I turn this, so it maybe should be something like that. So it's about that, and I have to turn it after one turn and a bit, and it will come off at 10 o'clock. So if we start here, and it will go counterclockwise. So since it's a bit full turn there, that's full turn. And then it will actually come off around over here. Well, I know that because I've been into it. So, and I turn it, and then it's off. Now, where it comes off, you will have to set a mark here. and I set it here. So you have to set a mark there. It could be somewhere else over around this area, I would think. But then it comes off. It's a really old sticky grease, which one I will clean off. Then the aperture, that's the aperture assembly. And it sits between the two guide pins, here and here. It's fully closed at the moment because of the tension in here. And then I will just pull this out so you can see how it is. So it is. You see, if when you assemble this lens and you have been into the aperture and all that stuff, and you think, okay, I will just put it back in again, and you come to the point when you assemble it and you by accident just put the aperture assembly in and think, okay, that's fine, or the two guide pins here, and you think, I cannot I cannot do much about the aperture here, and it's all wrong. I cannot fully open it, or you cannot actually not close it. We can go to the other side here and do the same again. Put it back in. So what's happened? Well, we'll go through it. And then you set it back in again, and it doesn't really work. See? But the point is, you probably guess what it is. They see the fork here. This fork here. This pin here. This one here. It's actually the one that is connected to the fork in here. So those two things has to sit correct. If not, well, you cannot move the aperture when you move the pin on the back, or you move the actual aperture ring, because this ring is also connected to the this ring here. So remember that when you assemble it again, it has to line up with this one. So that's it. So now we're looking into the back, the outer helicoid, which I will clean together with those, and then coming back to part 2. And it will be about the aperture assembly itself. So I will show you how you take it apart, set marks, and get it to work again if it doesn't work. This one is actually working pretty good. So it will be in the next video. So see you sooner for part 2.